All right, guys, welcome back. We've got the first race of the Monticello Motor Club eSIM Racing Series, the Esports Challenge. It's our third season, and we are ready for some racing excitement tonight here at Sebring, historic Sebring International Raceway, home of the 12-hour race coming up not too long from now in March. And we've got a great season of racing action, and we've also got a new broadcast team here with an all-new camera setup, an all-new broadcast graphics, and a brand new commentator here in the box, Tom Cairns. Tom, welcome to the racing show here at Monticello.
Thank you very much, Derek. Hello to everyone. Yes, the first round of the season at Sebring, once upon a time, was home to a Formula One race in 1959. Yes, it is not the only race in Florida that Formula One have been to. But of course, it is a good circuit for these cars, particularly that long Almond Straight, which was a runway, I think. It may still be a runway these days. But for now, it's the GT4s who are tackling this circuit. We're into the closing minutes of qualifying. Trento Walco has set the fastest time. Will he keep it that way? There are still some drivers yet to post a time yet, though.
Yeah, this is a fantastic circuit. We were just here in real life, Tom. Just last week, we had 24 members in their race cars down there. We had a member race at Sebring as well, and some of those drivers that were there last week are here now tonight in the sim racing, the Esports League here for Monticello Motor Club, and so they should be tuned up. They should be ready to respect the bumps as through turn 17. We're going to have, I think, a really exciting race tonight. I'm looking forward to getting this season underway. And we only have a few minutes of qualifying left before we go live with some racing action here from beautiful Sebring, Florida.
And here is the layout of the circuit coming towards turns 11, 12, and 13, otherwise known as Cunningham Corner, Collier Curve, and Tower Turn. And then it's a long rundown through the Flying Fortress and Bishop Bend. And then we've got the Gendabian Bend and the Le Mans Curve. And then it's the Almond Straight, which I had already mentioned earlier. And the last braking zone of the lap is Sunset Bend before that long run over the finish line. We could see a few dragon races to the line at the end of either of the two races. Qualifying is at its conclusion very nearly. Walco is still the man who set the fastest time of 2 minute 9.454. It doesn't seem that the likes of Chris Peterson, Andrew Barton, Sean McAuliffe, Brian Hedian, Juan Vivera, and James Garay are going to be setting times in time. So it's going to come down to their racecraft, I think, for the first of two.
Walco is a professional instructor and a fantastic sim racer, so it's not uncommon to see him on the pole. Eric Paterno, outside front row, is our current club champion, two-time club champion in the GT4s as well as the Mazdas. So he has been practicing a lot over the winter and is getting ready to really bring the fight to Trent on the front row here. You got Trent on the pole, Paterno outside front row, Casey Mosley and Paul Barthelms in row 2, Jeff Ernsting and Nick Steinman, some fantastic members there in row 3, BJ Farr, an instructor there in row 4. Outside is Owen Barthelms, followed by Jason Cohen and Manny T. Following up, final row there in row 6 is Ron Trinka, also known as Thor, fantastic in the McLaren, and then Sean McAuliffe in 12th place. And finally, you got at the back of the field, you've got Brian Hedian, lead instructor for Monticello Motor Club, followed by Andrew Barton. Out inside on 15th place is Chris Peterson, then the hilarious Juan Rivera, followed by James Garay, who just got added to the league this morning. So we've got a fantastic field, a big field, 17 drivers, and we're going to be going green very soon.
We are very much so. More drivers than expected, apparently, which is great for the league itself, as we are looking at a wonderful view of this gorgeous circuit here of Sebring. The cars are on the grid now. Almost all of them are on the grid, so I will let you take the lead, Derek, on this first race start of 2026.
Yeah, we got a full, I believe it's going to be a full track formation lap, and waiting for this Mustang pace car to pull the field off, and we'll get this formation lap underway as you're looking at the in-car for Eric Paterno in looks like a Mercedes tonight. That is an interesting choice for the flying fin of Eric Paterno. Jeff Ernsting just went to Germany with me this past year. We drove the Nürburgring for the first time. The Erstings were there. A husband and wife drove with me on the Nürburgring this past year, and fantastic Porsche drivers in their own right. It'll be exciting to see how they handle these big Mercs tonight. Got a really diverse field, lots of Stuttgart material, a couple of McLarens, keeping Tom in the fight there. The Englishman's excited always about the Astons and the McLarens. Tom, how do you feel about the cars in this field for the first race of the season?
It should be a fun race, actually. I think with there being slower cars compared to the GT3s, it opens up more opportunities for passing to be done, especially at the end of the Ullmann straights. And the drivers are just getting some temperature into their tyres. Now, the good thing about having the formation up for these is the fact that they'll be heavier on fuel. So they'll want a feel as to how the car handles through the corners on a heavier amount of fuel. Mind you, this is only a 20-minute race. Now, judging by the lap times we've had in qualifying, it should be a 10-lap affair for these. So they've not got too long to make their moves, particularly those at the back who had not set lap times.
Indeed, that's a good point, Tom. It is a 10-lap race. It is quite the sprint. So if you're in the back half of the field, you're going to have to get active early, using those long straights and big braking zones, especially coming out of turn 17. I think there's going to be a lot of activity, a lot of drag racing, a lot of wheel-to-wheel action on these long straights, as you see the view from Ron Trinka's car back there in 11th place. Excellent camera. Congrats to the control booth. There's some great camera angles tonight. I'm excited to see what these Apex Racing pros are going to bring to this broadcast. I am already excited about these fantastic camera angles we're getting.
That's good to see. A good camera angle there on the rear of Trenton Walco in the 91 with the Mercedes GT4 behind him. The lovely machine itself. Apparently it's got a 4-litre V8 with 400 brake horsepower, that particular machine, which is good to see. But they are just finding their rhythm around the circuit behind that Mustang safety car, and the 17 drivers will make their move at the end of this. I don't think James Garay has got going behind these, so it looks like if he's going to join, it will be from the end of the pit lane. So we've got the first race of the season. Apparently the point system is similar to Formula One, but we'll just keep an eye on the racing aspects of it, and then we can discuss more maybe about the points further down the line. But each driver want to go to the best of starts for this brand new season, and it may be a little bit tricky with the sunlight around there, because I don't know what time it is actually over in Sebring within the iRacing scenes. We'll find out soon enough as the race gets underway here, and there we are. And it looks like well, I can't really see the time on there, but it feels to me like it's late in the day, don't you think, Derek?
I think you're right. Also, fantastic timing from the control booth there. You ask for it, Tom, and it just appears on screen. I tell you, it's really nice having such pros behind the cameras here. I'm looking forward to seeing Trent Walco and Eric Paterno, one of our very fastest instructors in the sim, being facing off against one of our fastest members. It's going to be exciting as the pace car pulls off. We're looking to take the green, and we are green. We are green, 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 headed down the first straight to that big left-hander, turn 1.
And it's Casey Mosley who's got to the best of starts out of the top three. He's going to have the inside into turn 1 over Eric Padsano. And that is the fellow Merc into second place. We've got 3 cars off at turn number 1. It looks like Nick Steinman, Manny Tagliafico, and Jeffrey Ernsting, who have all spun round at turn 1. We'll get more on that in a moment. But either way, the top 3 have got through cleanly, as has Barthelms, and it's William Farr in 5th place. He's made up 2 positions. One driver's made his way through the field nicely, is Brian Hedian, up from 13th to 6th.
Wow, Brian Hedian coming up through the field quickly, knowing it's only a 20-minute race. Hedian making moves early. And I'll tell you, I was talking to Paterno myself today. Paterno has had a string of bad luck on the first lap, so I think he's happy to give up that position to Mosley in exchange for not spinning out. And we've got another car on the wall. Chris Peterson, one of the instructors on the staff at Monticello, is around and into the wall, but maybe not too much damage there, I think, for Peterson's Porsche.
Doesn't seem like they've got traction control on these, hence why the spin happened there for Trenker. But either way, It's down at the back of the field, towards the back, but heading towards the infield of the course. And there is Casey Mosley running in second place ahead of Patsino. And another drive in the barrier, very, very hard. That's Jason Cohen, who has had a big whack against the barrier.
Yeah, that's not going to help Jason Cohen's lap times for sure. As Trent gets up on those curbings, very big curbing, unsettles the car and lets Mosley get through cleanly. That was a fantastic attack by Mosley, waiting for Trent Walco to make a mistake, and he did. The curbing really upset the car and has allowed Paterno and Mosley to get around Trent. I don't think Trent's going to be very happy about that development.
No, but it was a great move from Casey Mosley, who got the inside of Walco, and Paterno taking advantage of Walco's mistake into Le Mans. But so far, so good for Casey Mosley. A great start to his season. Tartaglione has been in the wall again, probably affected by the damage he had at turn 1. But before we go on to what had happened there, we'll just stay with this battle for the lead, actually, because it's getting increasingly tasty between Casey Mosley and Eric Paterno.
Yes, it is. We have two members there being followed by one of the fastest instructors. You can believe Trent Walco is not content to stay in third for very long, but both of these drivers, Paterno and Mosley, are talented in the sim, and I expect a lot of wheel-to-wheel action here out of all these three. And Paul Barthelms, also no stranger back there in the Dark Horse Mustang. He is going to join the fight as well, I think, very quickly.
So here's the start, and you'll see Manny Tartaglione go for a spin here. He actually gets caught up, actually tries to dodge it, but then is collected by, I think it was Nick Steinman or Jeffrey Ersting. It was one of those two, but we're going to see now. There's Jeffrey Ersting in the green and yellow livery car that is going through turn 1 there. So he tangles with Nick Steinman to begin with, and then Manny Tartaglione was just an innocent bystander in all of that.
Back to the front, you've got Casey Mosley still out front, followed by Eric Paterno, Trent Walco, and Paul Barthelms. And Brian Hedian, starting near the back of the field, has worked his way up to 5th. What a fantastic piece of driving there out of Brian Hedian, the BHR stable. That McLaren is working hard, starting, I think, in 13th, up 8 places. Great drive for Hedian so far in this early piece of the race.
It looks like Sean McAuliffe, the car behind Brian Hedian, is without his front bumper. Doesn't seem to be affecting him too much. There's a car off in the foreground there, and the car that tried to avoid it has ended up in the barrier on the exit of Le Mans corner. That's a terrible shame. That will have been not Run Tronker. It's Andrew Barton who ended up in the wall, unfortunately. There's no doubt there's going to be damage to that car, even though there's no black and orange flag next to his name on the timing tower. We'll get another look. So there is Ron Trinker going off the circuit. To be fair, I don't think Barton was off-put by that. It was more the fact that he just caught the curb so deeply, it was enough to upset the rear and put him straight in the barrier.
Sure. And no traction there on the loaded up side, and it was bad. When the traction came back, rotation into the inside wall, that was just not great there on Andrew Barton's part. Ron Trinka not having that great a drive either. Big understeer off to the track as well. But back to the front, Paterno now has given up a place. Trent Walco picked him off there and moved back into second. Paterno not happy about that. But as you can see, Paterno trying to get his nose inside, maybe a touch of contact there. Let's check this pass.
This is Walco on Paterno. This is at the beginning of this lap. It's over at turn 2, and it's because of a mistake actually from Paterno at turn 1, which opened the door for Walco to go through. So Walco didn't need a second invitation to go on by there.
Indeed, he did not. Paterno, a little aggressive, a little late on the brake, could not get the car turned. Trent Walco says thank you very much and moves into second, and now sets his sights on Mosley at the front. He's only a half second back. We're 5 minutes into the race, almost 6 minutes in the race. Paterno is a half a second off the lead, looking to close in on Mosley.
At least Jason Cohen's moved back up a couple of places. Nick Steinman and Chris Peterson have both been in, presumably with damage. Manny Tartaglione has got back out on circuit now. Chris Peterson's just leaving the pits. He might move in front of Steinman here. He is now in front of him. And So he's now going to rejoin in 14. There is Jason Cohen on his own at the back. Monticello Leo might get in front of Nick Simon, which will be a little consolation for him. But there is Jason Cohen, who's now nearly half a minute off Juan Rivera, who has lost time. I don't know if he's had enough somewhere. And there is Jeffrey Ersting, who's now 13 seconds off Andrew Barton, who seems to have survived despite that whack against the tyre barrier on the exit of Lamont corner, which he's just gone through. Aaron Barthelms running in P8. And then we've got William Farr. And I'm sure Sean McAuliffe is without that front bumper. It almost looked like something you see on Robot Wars, the way he's going through turn up one there. But that doesn't seem to put him off too much, though. I wouldn't have thought, Derek.
No, it looks like the Aston is actually it hasn't hurt the performance of that Aston Martin at all, as he's trying to give the fight there to Brian Hedian. Hedian, no stranger to pressure, as Hedian goes 4 off on the other side of the curve. That is not going to help his lap times. Yeah, I can't believe he was able to hold on to that.
Yeah, something's wrong with McAuliffe's car on the exit there.
Sure.
I don't know what's
the
happened.
Old commentator's curse there, Tom. I think I cursed him. As soon as I said the Aston's running well, I think he started to drop back through the pack.
I don't know if he's suffering a gearbox issue here, because he is stuck in third gear. Have the hydraulics gone on that Aston Martin?
Yeah, you can definitely see the rev limiter lights. He is definitely just banging. He's just banging the chip there in third gear, trying to get around as quickly as possible. Cannot upshift, and pretty much stuck at about 70 miles an hour. He can't upshift or downshift. I think he's going to retire.
It feels like an equipment issue for Sean McAuliffe. Hopefully that won't affect him for race number 2. He's got some time to rectify the issue, but it is race over effectively, which is a big shame, because he was running quite high there in 6th position and giving Brian Hedian a little bit of a headache until the issue had kicked in. But Casey Mosley still leads the way, albeit 2 tenths clear over Trenton Walco. Is now 2 tenths off him in the battle for the lead. And there we see those two right on board with Mosley, heading through Sunset. And Walco's just waiting for pounds. Ron Trenker with a slowdown, presumably exceeding track limits somewhere. But thankfully for him, he's got 10 seconds in hand over Andrew Barton.
Yeah, I have to tell you, Tom, I think at this point, I suspect that Trent Walco is kind of playing with his food a little bit. I think he's got Casey Mosley sized up. He knows there's several minutes left in the race, a few laps left. We're on lap 5, maybe 5 laps to go. And I feel like Trenton Walco is going to have something for Casey before this race is over. Meanwhile, Brian Hedian continues to perform here as he's working to get around William Farr.
Well, that's actually William Farr going past him, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But Farr is now giving up the space to Hedian there.
Yeah.
So Hedian picks Farr off and moves up a space. That's 2 instructors there going head-to-head. Always a fun race when these guys are wheel-to-wheel. They never want to give up position to each other.
And that is Hedian going back ahead of Farr, heading through the hairpin. And we're coming towards the halfway point in this race now. And so far, Casey Mosley is running away with it. Eric Paterno is less than 2 seconds off the lead. And we've got Paul Barthelms in 4th place. Is that a car who's just spun round there? It is. It's Sean McAuliffe.
Sure, he had gearbox issues. And, yeah, Sean McAuliffe's not his race. Not proving to be his night tonight, I don't think.
No. There was another car that parked up on the entry to turn 2. I didn't know whether it was McAuliffe or whether it was someone else, but there was another car that stopped. That is Chris Peterson getting out of the way of... catching the curve wide. These were seen so...
Whoa!
And he just hit there. Who was it that just hit him?
Peterson collects Paterno. Peterson backs it into Paterno. Oh, that is really classic Paterno luck. That's very unfortunate. Exactly the kind of thing Eric Paterno was looking to avoid tonight, and he just has terrible luck in these races sometimes, as Paterno goes back through the field being collected by Chris Peterson. Oh, that's just ugly.
He needed to have put the brakes on that, Peterson, unfortunately, and that was what cost Paterno. That's elevated William Farr and Brian Hedian up to 4th and 5th place, respectively, and up into 3rd place is the Mustang of Paul Barthelms, He is the next driver to go after Walco and Mosley, but I don't know if he's going to do anything about those two with the time we've got left. But here is he didn't reride on the it's lovely camera actually on the door side of the machine.
Wrinkles. Fantastic. And Tom, that was the drag race you've been waiting on for the entire race. That is the drag race right there. Headed into turn one now. They're going through the turns now on the backside of the course. Hedian's got his hands full trying to run BJ Farr down.
Well, Paterno's got the car fixed and is now back out in 9th position ahead of Jeffrey Ernstine. We'll stay with these two of Farr and Hedian, who are still in their own squabble. At the hairpin, Farr moves in front of Hedian again. I wonder how many more times we'll be seeing these two go hammer and tong between now and the end, and perhaps maybe even more of it in race 2.
Excellent camera angles out of the control booth tonight. This racing is fantastic between these two instructors. Farr, no stranger to pressure, will not be shaken by Hedian. I don't think pressure is going to be a problem for Farr. I think Farr is going to be a tough nut for him to crack.
Change for the lead. Trenton Walco has taken over leadership ahead of Casey Mosley. I think that was coming for some time. It was a matter of, I don't know whether the back marker actually got in the way of Mosley that allowed Walco to go by. I think it did, Derek.
Yeah,
he almost got boxed in.
Traffic management seems to be a problem. Oh, yeah, that was a big problem.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not great. That was a tough break there for Casey Mosley. The back marker just really did not do Casey any favors there. And for the second time this race, Trent Walco is just waiting to be, basically the fortunate recipient of some poor racecraft by other drivers there. It really helped Trent Walco out.
There's no doubt he's going to be hard done by. He'll be livid with that, will Casey Mosley, because you could argue he could have gone to the left, but he would have gone to... he would have been catching the curb on the inside, and we know how lethal the curbs can be around here at Sebring.
Sure.
So at least Casey Mosley's kept the car pointing the right way. He can come back at Walco, but he is running out of time. We're on lap number 7 out of what is expected to be 10. And now we look at William Farr and Brian Hedian going toe-to-toe for 4th position.
Yeah, Hedian trying to get inside the braking zone there. Gets his nose inside of Farr. Farr just maintains his line, though. He's making Hedian work for it. And, wow, that McLaren is working hard. The Porsche looks really stable and really quick. Hedian just can't quite get it done. And BJ Farr maintains 4th place. Trent Walco on the top of this board right now. Mosley still in 2nd. Paul Barthelm's in that Mustang in 3rd place, followed by 2 instructors, BJ Farr and Brian Hedian. And then you have Owen Barthelm's in 6th, followed by Thor Trinka. What a great race so far. We've got about 5.5 minutes left in this race, a little more than 3 laps to go.
Oh, Farr's gone deep. And that allows Hedian to go by. Sorry to cut you across there, Derek, but
that's okay.
That was all what was needed for Hedian to go on by. Farr just, I think, maybe concentrated more on the driver behind rather than his own driving, which is a very, I don't want to say it's a schoolboy error because you see it all the time, but I think that was what cost Farr there, unfortunately.
It was exactly, Tom, to be fair, it was exactly the sort of thing I said BJ would not do. Look at all that steering input, huge understeer, huge push out of the Porsche, late on the braking, could not get it turned. Exactly the sort of thing I just said Mr. Farr would not do, and there he did it. A mistake let Brian Hedian through.
There is Paterno, who pitted in for repairs after the run-in he had with Chris Peterson, which had set him back. Oh, he goes over the curve there. No, it was ambitious to go through there, but he may felt that Barton should have left him room. But through goes Paterno, either way, into 8th position. And he's now got 3.5 seconds to make up on Trinka. So I think he'll get by him before the end of the race, if he can carry on with the pace he's setting. Now, if you look at the lap times comparing the two, well, actually, there's no comparison yet, because the last completed lap that Paterno did was his out lap, of which he came out of the pits from. So we'll find out soon enough, although the laps before is kind of more relevant. On average, I would say a good 4 seconds. So he's got a good chance to actually get by Trinka within the next lap.
George, you see Trinka come through 17 onto the front stretch. It's kind of a drag race here. Watching Manny Tartaglione try to run him down there. Manny Fantastic driver in the Sims. Oh, here we go. Jeff Ernsting around again in the green and yellow McLaren. The loss of traction control, or the deletion of traction control for tonight's race, proving to be quite a handful for some of these racers. It's very
easy to
interesting
do
see how
around
they
this
all
circuit,
handle it.
though, with the bumps that are around here and the curbs as well, which we've seen already. Trigger's got slowed down, which will most certainly cost him the position, I think, to Paterno in a moment. And they're just coming up behind a back marker that is not Owen Barthelm's ahead of them, because he's another 14 seconds up the road. But it's a matter of time, I think, before Paterno goes by.
Yeah, Paterno is on a mission. Paterno takes all of his racing, sim and real life racing, quite seriously. And I think being collected by Chris Peterson engaged another gear in Paterno's head, and he is a man on a mission. With only 3 minutes left in this race, he is desperate to move closer to the podium, and you can see it in the level of aggression, the risk, the amount of curbing he's taking. He is driving very hard.
Taking different lines is Paterno. Trinker took too much curb on the previous braking zone before the one they've just gone through now. And I think Paterno is going to move right in the real tracks here to just get on with it and head on through. He will only have 2 more laps to go. The leaders are already on their penultimate lap, but Paterno has still got this one and 2 more to do. He sees the open door that Trinker has left behind, and that's all that Paterno needs to go on through. It is going to be too much of a gap for Paterno to make up in the remaining couple of laps as we head towards the conclusion. The gap between Walker and Mosley is still 6/10, so there's still a chance for Casey Mosley to recover this.
Yeah, kudos to Casey Mosley for staying in contact with Trent Walco. Walco is such an accomplished sim racer. I expect pace out of Walco, and really, Casey Mosley bringing an unexpected fight to Trent. I'm happy to see it. This is the kind of racing action that everybody likes to see, and kudos to Casey for bringing the fight to Trent at the front of the pack.
And comparing the lap times between the pair of them, I will say Mosley has set the new fast stop of the race at 2-minute 9.5. That's better than what Walco did earlier on in the race. And in the previous lap, Walco's lap time was a 2-minute 9.7. So Mosley was able to take 2 tenths out of his margin on the previous lap. There are the comparisons of the best lap times for each driver. So it's not the last lap times. We see now the last lap times for each driver that have done that. So you can see that Mosley is evidently getting the gap down on Walco, which will help him in the remaining 6 kilometres, I would say, 7 perhaps, going through the Almond Straight now. What about Paterno? How much is he getting the gap down? Well, so far on this lap, a couple of seconds only on Owen Barthelms. We'll keep in touch with how he's getting on there. There is Paterno. Don't think there are any more back markers of which he'll have to negotiate, thankfully, to his favour. But he will rue. It wasn't his mistake. It was just more the fact that Chris Peterson didn't put his brakes on when he was spinning around and took Paterno with him.
Sure, yeah, it was clearly Peterson's error that cost Paterno so many positions in this race. And again, congrats to Paterno for getting it back to 7th, right? Getting the repair done, getting back in the race, keeping his head. I think he's probably going to finish in 7th, which is not so bad considering he went in the wall and had damage like he did.
And so we have started the final lap, and Walker was able to respond to Mosley's lap time of the previous tour. A 2-minute 9.4 he had set, which is a new fast stop of the race. A 2-minute 10.2 for Mosley, which is rather poor by his standards. Although it is better than some drivers, but I think considering the trajectory of the lap times he's been producing, it's certainly not a good one compared to the previous. Andrew Barton running in 9th position behind Trenker, who are looking to end their races on a high with a brilliant Dyson backball, but contact is made on the exit of Sunset, but thankfully only a slight nudge.
Oh, wow. Wow. Everybody racing hard with the last lap in hand. Everybody racing hard for position here. It's pretty exciting stuff here out of the closing moments from Sebring International.
That is Brian Heedon, who has made an error on the exit of Fangio, I believe. We're going to see how he's managed to do that. Now, he's heading towards the hairpin here. I think this is where he may have outbraked himself, have gone for a little bit of lawn mowing. We shall see. Yeah, but he's missed his braking point and headed straight onto the grass.
Oh, he'll be very disappointed with himself. He's been battling with Mr. Farr this entire race, working so hard. He gets it done and then gives it back. And BJ Farr there, ready to step through that open door as Hedian goes off. And I am sure Hedian will be crushed by that turn of events.
Well, he's got time to recover it, although not much time. And Trento Walko,
No, not much.
He's on his way to victory, the first race of the season. And it's been a brilliant recovery for Trento Walko to convert pole position to the win here at Sebring. A brilliant drive by him. Casey Mosley makes it to second place. And in third is Paul Barthelms, who deserved that. But there is still that battle for fourth place between Brian Hedian and William Farr.
Look at this. Look at that.
As a great overtake. Has he gone a little too deep? I don't think he has. I think Farr had to get off the throttle as soon as he came close to the arm coat. But it is Hedian who holds on to fourth place, and Farr will cross over the line in fifth.
Wow, excellent job by Hedian. I honestly did not think he would have enough time to make that place back on Mr. Farr, and he did, in fact, with that final turn overtake in turn 17. Great job by Brian Hedian to get back to fourth place.
Aaron Barthelms crossed over the line in sixth place ahead of Eric Paterno. The Finn will be absolutely gutted with that. But let's see if he can recover it in race two. He's certainly got the pace to do it. But, of course, the race results are what will decide on who will become champion at the end of the season. Waiting for the likes of Andrew Barton, Ron Trunker, Jeffrey Ersting, Jason Cohen. Those drivers on the lead lap to head over the line. Sean McAuliffe, Juan Rivera, and Manny Taglione will head over the line either a lap down or 2 laps down.
So great first race in the books. We'll have about a 5-minute break here, Tom, before we kick off race number 2, correct?
I understand we do. Warm-up session, so the drivers have an opportunity to get a drink, nip to the loo, do whatever they need to do, and 20-minute race of race number 2 will be coming up. Of course, we have a trailer of what's to come in the Monticello Motor Cup in 2026 in a moment, but we're just waiting for Jason Cohen to get over the line, and we'll run down on the result of the first race of the new season. And Cohen does get over the line. And now we can run down on the classification after waiting all that time since Walko had taken victory. And so it's Trento Walko who takes the checkered flag first, ahead of Casey Mosley in second place. Paul Barthelms made it to third place, and with Brian Hedian in fourth, ahead of William Farr in the great tussle to the line. Owen Barthelms makes it 2 Barthelms in the top 6, ahead of Eric Paterno, and it's Andrew Barton 8th, Ron Trenker 9th, with Jeffrey Ersting in 10th, and Jason Cohen at 11th. We've got likes of Sean McAuliffe, Juan Rivera, and Manny Taglione, all finishing at least 1 lap down each, with Chris Peterson, Nick Steinman, and James Garay didn't even start the race.
So keep your seats, everyone. We'll be back with race number 2 in about 5 minutes. All right, we're back, Tom. Closing in on race number 2. And the drivers, as you said, going to the loo. I like that. We don't have a lot of Monticello members go to the loo very often. That's very exciting. Sounds so very English.
It is very English, I will tell you that. But away from that, in terms of the circuit itself, 6 kilometres long, or 6.019 kilometres if you prefer. It is a mixture of asphalt and concrete. Apparently this configuration, or the 8th variation, yes, there are many variations of this Sebring International Raceway. It's been around since 1999, this one. Do you know who has the race lap record for this circuit, Derek?
I do not. But I'm excited to hear.
It is Kamui Kobayashi in a Toyota TS050 hybrid in an LMP in the LMP1 class in 2019 that have been presumably the 1,000 miles of Sebring.
Wow.
Which they contested at the time.
I wonder, when was the last, I bet, do you know, Tom, when the last, I mean, I don't know, when the last time a proper Formula One car made a lap of this track? I wonder what the most modern, or what the latest Formula One car that made this lap could do, I wonder.
Well, I mentioned earlier the last F1 race at Sebring was in 1959. But I'm trying to find the last time an F1 car had driven around Sebring. So if any of you that's tuned in know the answer to that, then do please let us know in the live chat.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I would like to know that. Yeah, this was a former World War II bomber and airstrip. You know, the fighter jets and bombers left and came in and out of here during World War II. And that's partly for the reason for the mixed surfaces, right? There's a lot of concrete. It's a very interesting circuit with a lot of character. It's a very historic circuit, has been a staple on the road racing scene in the United States for quite a number of years. And as you said, has seen Formula One and IMSA sports cars. It's seen everything here in the last 60 years.
Historical racetrack in its own right. We're right on board with Jeffrey Ersting, who's just going through turn 1 in his McLaren. One of 2 McLarens in the field. Brian Hedian is driving the other one. But of course, they only got a few more seconds left. So I think it was just a chance for drivers just to get a little bit more mileage in before the second race is about to be contested. 20 minutes it'll be again for the field. I'm just waiting for the warm-up session to transition to the race session, and we can run down on the grid for the start of the second and final race of tonight. And good morning to those in the UK, good evening to those in the US, or perhaps good afternoon to those watching in Australia. Trent Sawako on pole position ahead of Casey Mosley, and it's Paul Barthelms in third place ahead of Brian Hedian. William Farr and Owen Barthelms on row 3, followed by Eric Paterno and Andrew Barton. Ron Trenker and Jeffrey Ersting ran out the top 10, followed by Jason Cohen and Sean McAuliffe. Juan Rivera and Manny Taglione on row 7. Chris Peterson and Nick Stein on row 8. And at the back, who didn't even start the race actually in race 1, is James Gouret. I don't know if he's actually going to start in this second race either.
I, for one, am excited to see what Paterno is going to do in 7th. He had excellent pace. He had front of the pack. He had front of the pack pace in race 1. Had a little bit of unfortunate luck, which is kind of a Paterno trademark. So let's see if he can keep his car clean and really provide some excitement as he tries to move up through the field from 7th place. We'll be rolling off here behind the safety car in mere moments before we go green racing here for race number 2.
Which buys us a little bit more time as to maybe what we could expect to see in this second race. One man will be focusing on making his way through the field after finishing in P7 in that first race is Eric Paterno, who had a run-in with Chris Peterson, who he couldn't quite avoid, who was a lap down at the time. And it was just very unfortunate for Eric Paterno to run into him that time around. But let's see if he can recover and be in the running for the race win. If he comes through and wins this, that'll be quite some way and some recompense after these shenanigans in race 1.
Casey Mosley also had an exciting first race, excellent pace, taking it to the pro instructors. Instructors seem to have just have had a lot of good results here in these fields. So it's always fun for the members to race against the instructors and to put their skills up against them, both in real life as well as in the iRacing world. So Casey Mosley, good on you for bringing the fight to Trent Walco. And we're looking for more excitement here out of this Mosley Mercedes AMG car here in second place. Lights are out on the pace car. Trent Walco getting a little heat in those, no doubt, Michelin Pilot Sports slicks on that Mercedes. We're getting ready here for race number 2. As you see the rear there from Trent Walco's car, looking back at the Mustang of the Barthelmes, Team Barthelmes, a family of racers. The wife not racing tonight, and one of the sons, father and son, racing tonight. It is typically we have 3 Barthelmes in the race, but tonight only 2, and they've both been driving pretty well as we close in on the green flag. Here's Jeff Ernsting, also a proper racer, with a wife who is also a proper racer. Shout out to Janice Ernsting, who I bet is watching from home, and we had a great year. Jeff, Janice, and myself all went to the Nürburgring together. Manny Tartaglione also been to the Nürburgring with me, Germany's most famous piece of pavement in the Eifel Mountains. We've all driven it. It's been fantastic. Maybe we'll get a iRace there soon, Tom. I think that would be exciting.
I would recommend it. I've never been to the Nordschleife or the Nürburgring circuit, but I have commentated on other races involving the Nordschleife, and it is an incredible challenge. It has to be said, with over 150 corners which you have to navigate round. But it's wonderful as well that the motorsport theme runs through the families of the Barthelmes and the Erstings, which is phenomenal to hear.
Yeah, the members at Monticello, it is quite often a family affair. And for the Barthelmes and the Erstings, it really is a family affair. His and hers race cars are always exciting at Monticello.
And they're looking at the rear wing view of William Fart, who had a respectable first race on his way to 5th position after being passed by Brian Hedian on the last lap in race 1. Let's see what he can do. We did see drama on the first lap at turn 1 involving Jeffrey Hursting, Chris Peterson and Nick Steinman. Let's hope, Manny Taglione, I should say. But let's hope they can all get through cleanly through turn 1 this time, and of course throughout the opening stages.
Coming through the final turn, the pace car will be ducking into the pits here as we look forward to take the green here. Trent Walco on the pole, Casey Mosley on the outside front row, and we're waiting for the green. And there it is right there. The race is underway. Green, green, green. As the racers head down to the big left-hander, Trent Walco moves outside to defend, gets good radius into turn 1, and Barthelmes makes the move in that Mustang, tries to get the position off of Mosley, and there's a lot of action at the back, Tom.
Yeah, there's a car in the barrier.
In the wall, yeah.
Yeah, second race in a row. Yeah, unfortunately so for Manny Taglione. But a great start from Paul Barthelmes, who did exactly what Casey Mosley did in the first race by putting his car on the inside. But this time, Casey Mosley was able to resist that and keep hold of his second place. Behind these two is Eric Paterno, who we predicted to carve his way through the field, but maybe not as quickly as we anticipated. He's flying.
Yeah, Paterno is really got his elbows out. And you see Barthelmes and Mosley door to door. Mosley comes out on the right end of that battle, but Paterno has his elbows out and is making a charge through the field. As we're working lap number 1, we're a minute into this race. Paterno really bringing the fight.
And this is what we've been waiting to see for some time. Paul Barthelmes, who finished on the podium in race number 1. He's going to find it quite tough as he gets out of shape through the Collier curve, I think that was. But now he's just got his car in the way. That he drops it again on the curb. And this goes back to what I was saying about touching those curves with these cars. They're not friends with each other. And that is going to cost Barthelmes unless he can get back into a rhythm and just avoid the outside curves. And this is the Le Mans corner or not the Le Mans corner yet, but they're going to go through Le Mans onto the Almond Straight in a moment. But there is contact between Hedian and Eric Paterno. And from Paterno's point of view will be not again. I just hope they rejoin without causing too many more dramas, actually. I think they're okay.
Yeah, exactly. Just the kind of action that Paterno did not want. Let's look at the replay.
This is
Paterno is dicing there, and then Paterno gets out of shape and just closes the door on Hedian. That's just, I think Paterno just did not check his mirrors before he rejoined the course.
That's William Farr, who's just spun into the pit lane. I think Andrew Barton's got involved. Eric Pantano, I think, has spun as well. That's his car heavily affected. What a miserable start to the race for Eric Pantano, who had hope for a lot more. That's Andrew Barton, who had stopped on the circuit a little bit earlier. What happened at the last corner?
Meatballs all around. It's a tough break for Paterno.
He just got out of shape. He corrected the slide initially, but the problem was the barrier was just too close.
Sure. A bit of opposite lock there. Good skid pad skills for Paterno, but he ran out of real estate.
So how does William Farr lose it here at Sunset? Well, the first part of it was fine. Does he catch the bump? He does catch it. The car was out of shape, and as soon as he hit the bump, it was effectively game over at that point.
There's a reason why the best-selling T-shirt at Sebring is a black T-shirt with white block letters that say "Respect the bumps." There's a reason why people say "Respect the bumps." Very upsetting to the traction of the car. If you don't have your eyes up and your hands set, the car can really, really get away from you on some of these pavement sections.
Well, Pantano has been in the pit lane. There was a black flag to his name, so he must have had to serve a penalty. I don't know why he picked up that penalty, in all honesty. But there was another incident on circuit. This is Jason Cohen around the infield of the course. He went for a spin. Does he take another drop? Or is this the Andrew Barton incident?
Yes. Barton could not correct his line, and Cohen was there.
And this is earlier on lap one.
Let's check in on instructor Chris Peterson out of New Jersey, out of Wayne, New Jersey, using the 7 car as a bumper.
Yeah, he used him as a brake and just couldn't get it slowed down.
Yeah.
Well, either way, Walco has been able to build up that margin of 2 seconds over Casey Mosley, which he'll be happy with that at this stage. And it's Paul Barthelms who's got now around about 9 seconds in hand over Jeffrey Erskine, who's having a better time of it.
Yeah, congrats to Hedian also. After being taken out by untimely Eric Paterno rejoining the course, Hedian has now gotten around Trinka and has moved up into 5th place in that green and blue and white McLaren, tracking now the green McLaren of Jeff Ernsting. That's going to be an interesting battle.
Good battle hanging around over 9th position. There is Chris Peterson. I think it was a battle of rates, between Cohen and Steinman. But anyhow, they are all continuing. We've lost Tagliafico, who has decided to go no further. Andrew Barton is a lap down. William Farr is quite some way behind. He's not down a lap yet, is William Farr. Eric Pantano, I think, is just going to be fighting over the fast lap now because he's over a whole minute off the next driver that he's chasing, Juan Rivera.
Yeah, Paterno now just putting in some practice laps, basically. He not exactly fighting for position, but any seat time is good seat time, as you know, Tom. We've got about 14 minutes left in this race, and Trent Walco still adding to his lead. Oh, Trinka not... I tell you, I think the lack of traction control is... this being the first race of the season, and the lack of traction control, I think, is a intoxicating mix for these drivers that is causing quite a few problems.
Into the Armco, Rontrenko went. I thought I did see a bumper come off the car, but it might be just an iRacing thing. And off goes Chris Peterson again. Thankfully, doesn't take anyone with him as he rejoins. But he's now down behind Sean McAuliffe, who is looking to make up for what we thought was equipment issues. Let's just keep it as generic as that for McAuliffe. But no, he's He's making up for lost time, is McAuliffe, after a difficult race one. Eric Pansnow, looking at the lap times he's producing, his last lap was showing it's a 3-minute 9.5, so just ignore that for now, because I know his pace will be a lot quicker than that. And through goes McAuliffe on Trenker, who I'd imagine will be suffering from the damage he sustained at the Armco. Even though there's no black and orange flag next to his name on the timing tower, it doesn't mean to say he hasn't taken any damage at all.
Yeah, you can definitely see quite a bit of damage on the front of that car. As you said, he doesn't have what we like to call a meatball, but yeah, he cannot get the car to turn. He's having he's got all sorts of problems out there. As Peterson goes around, Peterson doors him in the left rear quarter panel. Trinka just having a tough go of it tonight, as is Eric Paterno back in 13th. And currently, your top three is the same as the top three in the first race. Walco, Mosley, and a Mustang of Paul Barthelmes in third, as you see Chris Peterson go off.
That hairpin has not been Chris Peterson's friend so far in this race. That's the second time at least he's missed his braking point and gone off the circuit. And that's allowed Ron Trenker to go back through. I'm surprised he's been able to make it through some of these corners after the damage he had picked up as Trenker. But now he's the one chasing after Jason Cohen. He's been passed by Sean McAuliffe. So McAuliffe has been on fire in the last few laps. And so he's up into 8th position. He did a time of 2 minute 11, considerably faster than some of those ahead of him.
Yeah, Sean McAuliffe, a fantastic racer in real life, and is putting in some work here in race 2, as we see Chris Peterson working here with Ron Trinka back in 10th and 11th. The Trinka car now seems to be running a respectable pace. Peterson's struggling with his steering back there.
Yeah, that car does not look like it's ready to drive, to be honest with you. Ron Trenker really has gone off the circuit at Le Mans Corner. He's lost time on the run down to the Almond Straight. It's just like when one driver has another problem, the next corner, the other driver has an issue. Through goes Peterson, but will he get the car slowed down here into Sunset?
Right. You might have to use Trinka as a bump stop again, as he takes this interesting line there through that corner.
He's going to drop it. Oh, I thought he was going to drop it there, Peterson.
Huge oversteer coming onto the front straight through 17. The bumps not helping that chassis at all, as these guys drag race into the left-hander turn 1. It's making for some interesting racing, Tom. It's giving us something to talk about.
It is. It's great fighting between these two, even though they're down the field in 10th and 11th. Juan Rivera further back has dropped down considerably from those two, but now he's going to be under attack from Eric Pansnow, I think, before this race is over. There is Aaron Barthelmes, who's got by Nick Steinman for position. He's now into 6th place. He's looking to go after Brian Hedian, who at the moment hasn't really got anyone to fight with, apart from Jeffrey Ersting, who's like another 3.5 seconds up the road. 3.7 seconds is the margin between Trenton Walco and Casey Mosley, so it looks like Walco could be on his way to victory, bar any errors from here on in.
Yeah, we're just past the halfway point in this race. Trent Walco continues to pad his lead up front, as you said. Walco seems to be just on cruise control out front. Unless he makes a mistake, Mosley is going to have a hard time closing that 3.5 second gap. As you see, the Aston Martin of Sean McAuliffe in the rear there, as he's trying to close in on these two drivers, trying to close in on Steinman and Barthelmes. And now we're back to the drag race between 10th and 11th.
A superb squabble between Peterson and Trenker. There's Trenker on the outside, not quite putting all 4 wheels over the white line. I think it's all right. But it's like synchronized spinning almost between the pair of them, because they've taken that corner of, I think it's the Gendabian bend there before Le Mans. And, well, it's Peterson who comes out on top, although perhaps not in the circumstances that we were expecting.
Yeah, Peterson getting a track limits slowdown there, getting a yellow from the iRacing officials. I think this position between 10th and 11th is going to come down to who makes the last mistake, I think, between these racers. They are, I don't know, it's very active what they're doing out there on the track right now. Maybe not the best racecraft, but it is fun for the viewers.
There's Trenton Walco in the lead by nearly 4 seconds over Casey Mosley, who maybe happy with a second place finish considering the squabbles he's had with drivers tonight. And Paul Barthelm's on his way to P3. The top three in the field are in the same positions as where they were at the end of race number 1, and therefore the grid. Jeffrey Erskine has had a superlative race from 10th on the grid up to 4th, and Brian Headon is just doing his utmost to keep up with him and get back ahead of him before the race is done and dusted. Owen Barthelm's running in 6th place at Nick Steinman, who's had a race to remember, up from 16th to 7th. A good effort from him. Sean McAuliffe will be closing on him. You could just maybe see in the background a little bit. So there could be a three-way fight between these, between the trio of which I've just mentioned before the race has reached its conclusion.
Yeah, I think, as you said, Tom, enough can't be said about Jeff Ernsting. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is his first sim race with the club. He hasn't participated in previous races or previous seasons with him. So, kudos to Ernsting coming off the bench in his very first race with Monticello Esports Sim Racing and producing an entirely respectable 4th place so far, moving up 6 spots from 10th. That is an excellent result in his first race with the club.
Provided no dramas from Jeffrey Erskine, who's on course for a 4th place finish. Further down the field, Juan Rivera has had a lot to forget because Eric Pantano, Andrew Barton and William Farr are all now ahead of him. We'll find out very shortly exactly what has happened to Juan Rivera, where we can just see Nick Steinman with Aaron Barthelm's just ahead of him, coming over the line to begin their 7th lap. And back to the battle between Peterson and Trenker.
Oh, wow. These two guys. Oh, wow. It has been a very exciting race here. Through turn set. What are you doing, Peterson? Where are you going? Trinka just following him there. This is it's fantastic and let's call it interesting, Tom. Very
it has been interesting
that's as charitable as I can be.
Well, these two have put on a great ding-dong battle since the race had started, so at least we've had something to be watching throughout that. Eric Pantano, in terms of his lap times, a 2-minute 10.2 he posted compared to Ron Trenker, who did a 2-minute 15, but accounting the fact that he was battling with Peterson could explain why Pantano did a lap time that was over 5 seconds faster than him. Not that he'll do anything about Trenker, I don't think. He's run about 38 seconds behind him, and with only a few laps remaining, I just don't think he's going to be able to make up that ground very, very quickly. Why goes Owen Barthelm's, and it looks like Nick Steinman's got him.
Yes, Steinman was able to take care. Barthelm's, there's the Aston Martin of Sean McAuliffe smoking in the infield. That is not good.
What has he done here? Has he hit the Armco really hard? He must have done with the front engine bursting, unless it's already gone before he's got to the corner. I think
he's still in 3rd gear. He's still having that gearbox issue. Steering wheel not working, paddles not working, steering not working, and now it looks like also the water cooler not working anymore.
He'll be heading back to the pit lane in a moment, will Sean McAuliffe, although not in the way he'll have hoped. And so he ducks back to the pit lane, and that's effectively race done, I think, for Sean McAuliffe in what's been a tricky evening for him. Not so for Trenton Walco. He's been able to keep his car going. The gap now 4.5 seconds to Casely Mosley, with Paul Barthelm's keeping his car out of trouble. And Owen Barthelm's, with that mistake, is down to P7, but he has got 14 seconds in hand over Jason Cohen, who's had a better race of it compared to the first. Chris Peterson and Roy Trinker are still going at it, Derek.
Of course they are. Of course they are. Nose to tail, wheel to wheel. Trinka, a member, and Peterson, the instructor, duking it out with these fantastic camera angles as we watch Trinka take a big radius into turn 1. I mean, that is an amazing radius. He's doing a little John Deere action, cutting some grass, and still right on Peterson's tail as they go through turn 3. It's unbelievable what these two are doing tonight.
Don't know whether Roy Trinket actually practiced that line beforehand, because that was a rather unconventional way of tackling turn 1 here at Sebring.
Oh, to say the least. Tom, you are so politically correct. I love the amount of charity that you're giving these drivers on these lines. It is fantastic. I tell you, this is just fun to watch. It really is. It is fun to watch. It's not the best driving I've seen, but these guys are absolutely getting after it. With only a lap and a half to go, we've got about 2.5 minutes left in this race, and Trinka is bringing the fight to Chris Peterson.
Well, Trinket will have to back off a little bit because he has that slowdown next to his name on the timing tower. So that's gone now. So Trinket can just get on and go after Peterson again, but he is running out of time to make his move. We are on the penultimate lap here in Sebring in the Monticello Motor Club, the first race of the new season in 2026. Trenton Walco is managing the gap over Casey Mosley. He'll be, it looks like he's settling for second place now with Paul Barthelm's 10 seconds clear over Jeffrey Erstein, who's got the fellow McLaren behind him of Brian Hedian. Owen Barthelms has dropped back a little bit from Nick Steinman, so he'll just want to make sure he gets to the end without any more dramas. I wonder how long it'll be before Chris Peterson and Ron Trinket go toe-to-toe again.
I can't imagine it's going to be long, Tom, but I'll tell you, I feel like these top three, unless something big happens, I believe the top three are done and dusted. That order of Walco, Mosley, and Barthelms seems to be etched on the trophy already. As you see Chris Peterson through turn 17. One more lap to go, I think, as Trinka chases him. Now let's check out this Ron Trinka, just this fantastic Trinka line through turn 1.
Let's see how he tackles turn 1 then. Since they're so far away from Trinka, I'd have thought Peterson would go through turn 1 absolutely fine. He does go through turn 1 fine, as does Trinka, although he took a rather tight line and he backed off a little bit. But he's got through turn 1, no problem there, but he doesn't make it through turn 2 cleanly. Just avoids the barrier.
Oh, wow. Wow, very exciting there. Cameraman ducking for cover there behind the barriers as Trinka drives his car right towards the tire barrier. Fantastic crowd we've got tonight, Tom. You see all these crowds. I mean, there's so many people watching this race. It's been a great turnout here. The weather is amazing in Sebring. As we have 1 minute to go, we're on the last lap with the leaders. 70 degrees in Sebring. Oh, track temp 72. It's just a fantastic day in Sebring. Crowd is on its feet. The Tom Cairns merch trailer on fire. Tom Cairns trucker hats flying off the shelf. Ron Trinka, the brake pads not working so great, but we've got about half a lap to go. As we look at Trenton Walco out of Antarctica. Trent Walco hailing from Antarctica tonight, trying to close in on some back markers and finish out this race. It'll be checkered flag next time by for Trent Walco as he closes in on turn 17.
And that's William Farr ahead of him, who's a lap behind. He's chasing after Andrew Barton. So I wonder if Trenton Walco would just want to back off here and let William Farr just go for his own battle, because he's got 5 seconds in hand over Casey Mosley. He won't want to risk losing the win here. But,
Absolutely.
It looks like he's got this one under control, I think, Derek.
I would not try anything with BJ Farr. Trent is completely content to just track BJ Farr all the way to the start-finish line.
Well, he's on his way to the win. He's got around about half a lap remaining. And it's going to be 2 from 2 for Trenton Walco, ahead of Casey Mosley, who hasn't been able to do anything about him since the start, really, after being jumped initially by Paul Barthelms. Had it not been for that, I think we may have seen a little bit more of a race between Walco and Mosley. It looks like William Farr's now got by Andrew Barton, and there's the reason why. Barton's been off, and we'll go to the leader for the race win here.
Checking the gap here, Hedian not far off of Ernsting's bumper there. I don't think there's going to be enough time for Hedian to give Ernsting any trouble, but kudos to Hedian for trying to close the gap between those two McLarens in 4th and 5th. Only about a second Ooh, big track out there for Trent Walco. And across the line.
To make it 2 wins from 2 here at Sebring, Trent Walco ends his evening in style, 3.5 seconds clear over Casely Mosley. And for the sake of celebrations, he decides to bin the car in the barrow because he thought, why not? Paul Barthelms making it 2 podiums from 2, so the top 3 are exactly the same as race 1 in the same order. Jeffrey Ersting will make it to 4th position ahead of Brian Hedian, who gets home in P5. And further back, we'll see Nick Simon, who's been able to stretch the margin over Owen Barthelms to over 5 seconds. And we'll wait for Jason Cohen, Chris Peterson, Ron Trenker. Eric Pantano will head over the line in P11. Off goes Ron Trenker, whose car is not exactly handling the way that he wants, but at least he'll get over the line to score. And so Chris Peterson just heading over the line in a moment. Ron Trenker dropped around about 3 to 4 seconds in terms of the gap between him and Peterson. So there's those two heading over the line in 9th and 10th. Eric Patino, who has got the gap down to something like 16 or 17 seconds, but it is P11 for him. And the last driver we'll wait and see head over the line is William Farr.
Yep, everybody crossing. There's Paterno across the line. Another disappointing finish as he had podium pace, Tom. We know that Paterno had higher hopes for a better finish tonight in both races, but I'm sure that he'll be back next week, and our next sim broadcast will be in 2 weeks. I'm not sure where our next broadcast race is from, though. I was looking for the schedule, and I don't have it handy. Interlagos is the next race, and so Interlagos next week, a week from tonight, and then 2 weeks from tonight, we'll be back in the booth with Tom and I will be back in the booth for a live broadcast of race 3. Tonight was fantastic. We want to thank all the members that showed up for tonight's race, as well as the instructors. It was a fantastic race. Tom, great job on our inaugural broadcast. It was really fun. I hope everybody enjoyed viewing it. And also, Sam, great job in the control truck. Fantastic camera angles.
And thank you so much for everyone that's tuned in from my side. Will it be my first broadcast within Apex Racing TV? It has been an absolute treat, and what a wonderful start to the season in the Monticello Motor Club in 2026. Much appreciated.
Thanks for watching, everybody.